Looks good, no?
A very happy morning to you, Arnav.
Hi, happy morning, Suman. How are you?
Can't hear you.
Oh, mic is.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, 1 second. Arnav, can you hear us?
I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
Okay, good. Yeah.
Oh, now it's fine. You can hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, loud and clear. Absolutely.
Perfect. Sounds good. Yeah.
Good to see you after a long time.
Yes, good to see you too. You've just been occupied, really occupied recently.
I'm sure so much of activity happening.
No, we were supposed to have a visit, but that just got cancelled late last week. So
I see.
yeah.
Okay.
We just
Great.
freed up some time right now, so that's great.
So we're just speaking to one or two of those speakers just for something. So please allow me to come back to you. Your of course, your audio video is absolutely fine.
Perfect. I just wanted to share my presentation once to see how it looks on the screen and everything.
Yeah,
Will that
please.
be all right?
Is that already on? No, you already permitted screen sharing.
Yes.
Yeah, please
So
do.
are allowed to. If he's not allowed to, I'll check it up and fix
Oh, it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
I'll check it. I'll get back.
We'll check and we'll get back to you on that.
Great. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
See you.
So
Hello,
good
Suma.
after a long time. Very long.
You're looking good with your backdrop.
Thank you. That's because it's got UNIDO right up.
Yes. I didn't put it on yet, but anyway, I will mostly be off, so it's okay.
Okay.
So my director, Ms. Adachi, is just having a meeting right now. So as soon as she's finished, we'll bring her in. Okay. Just give us a couple of minutes. Yeah. Thank you.
I think when she joins, I'd like to introduce everybody to each other before the.
Okay. Sure. Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right, just give us a couple of minutes. Yeah.
I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. A very happy morning to you, sir. But we have Mr. Taga
Good morning.
here on with us.
Good morning. Yes. Good
I think
morning to
they're
all.
logging in. Yes.
Yes. Miss Adachi is coming in now.
Okay.
So we've got the background. Good.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Sorry, that was a last minute decision to just put
No,
something
it's all
together.
right. It's all right. Understand. Yes. So Fumio-san, let me introduce you to Fumio-san.
Sorry to be late. Yes.
Yes. So let me introduce Ms. Fumio Adachi, our new head, to Mr. Suman. Mr. Suman here
Mr.
is,
Suman.
yes, he has been organizing this session together with the IJCCI, the Chamber of Commerce in Chennai, and he will be moderating also. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you very much for moderating today's session. And thank you very much.
Such a pleasure to meet you, ma'am. Thank you for your kind words. We're always looking forward to do something interesting with Japan, and your entire organization, including Fada-san, has been so cooperative and coordinating so excellently well.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate
And
it. Thank you.
where are you based now? In Chennai or
Chennai.
Chennai? Okay. Okay. Great. I'm sorry. I have been to India maybe 8 times or 9 times, but I haven't been to Chennai yet.
Next time we will be very. It's a very beautiful place.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Right.
So
Yes.
is your office facing ocean or is your office? Can you see ocean? See, is Chennai is the
Very, very close by. We are 10, 12 minutes away from the ocean.
12. I see. Okay.
Ma'am, I'd also like to introduce Consul General Mr. Taga Masayuki is here online. So,
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Hi.
Nice to meet you, and thank you for inviting me for this webinar. And I'd like to really welcome Adachi-san to Chennai. Yeah, please do visit.
Taga-san, thank you very much. Nice to meat you. So you are in Kobe?
I'm in Chennai now 3 years and plus. Yeah.
そうですか。はい。本日はどうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
こちらこそよろしくお願いします。
はい、ありがとうございます。
it's so
But
lovely.
today my speech is very short. Is that okay? No?
All right, sir. It's so lovely to hear Japanese after a
Yeah,
long
main speaker is that Kariya-san and Ramesh-san. I understand. Okay.
Please take your time. No problem at all with that.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
So, Tana-san. Oops.
I just sent I just. Okay, so Suman-san, just my colleague who is just managing the webinar with me here just informed me that it seems there's some of our colleagues also joining as a participant to the webinar. So, but it seems it's the broadcast is already going on to the all the participants at this moment.
Oh.
It seems, yeah. Just for information, Suman-san.
You sit down. Start in. We have few minutes more to start.
A very warm welcome to our president, Mr. Imbuch Ahmed. He's also joined here.
Thank you very much. How about others? They're all joining fast.
You're all here, sir. Just waiting for Suguna-san.
You can sit here. It will take 1 hour. Again, few minutes. 1.5 hours is a long time. Whether we have to start or they will start and tell us.
So the webinar has already started. We're just waiting for Suguna-san to join. She's joining in a minute.
All others has come.
Yes, please. Also waiting for Mr. Niklesh Giri also to join. Just checking in.
Let us start. They all have come. Can we start?
Suman? Satish? Yes, ma'am, we can hear you loud and clear. We have two. all of the speakers are here. I was just welcoming Mr. Nikhilesh Giri. Thank you so much for being here for the program, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
Once again, nice meeting you on the
Okay.
web.
What is time now? 20? 29, not 30.
Adachi-san, good morning.
Okay. So everybody's checked in. So I'll start the welcome. Good day to all of you who has come to be blessed to have a pleasant privilege for this conference. And I'm very, very happy to welcome all of you and to the webinar in India-Japan Business Cooperation and Facilitation. Are you able to hear me all right? Organized jointly by UNIDO and ITPO in Tokyo. Are you clear? And
We can hear you. Please continue.
You're hearing well?
Yes, yes,
Yes, please. Loud and clear. Please continue.
Okay. I'm happy that our Indian Consul General Nikhilesh Giri and our Japanese warm welcome both of our Consul General, and I have a great pleasure in welcoming the head UNIDO ITPO, Tokyo, Madam Fumiya Adachi, for our participation. My warm welcome to Arunab Kalia, AVP Invest in India. My warm welcome to PSS Suman and Mr. Ramesh, and also PSS Legal. While extending my warm welcome economic seminars and between Japan and India, B2B meets and frequently intervals which I consider will strengthen the India-Japan economic relations, and it is need of the hour. I'll welcome all of you, all the participants to the seminar. I am sure today's deliberation will be highly productive and results-oriented. I now request our Suman to go ahead with the further programs. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Very warm welcome to all the participants and all our speakers. I got disconnected in the beginning, so I couldn't extend that warm welcome. And just a brief introduction about our president, Mr. Mbich Ahmed. He's the president of the Indo-Japan Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And he's got a very impressive 12-page profile with so many accolades and achievements. He's the chairman and managing director of Avalon Technologies Private Limited, and he's a director of Avalon Technology and Services Private Limited, Chennai and Bangalore. And he's also the chairman of Sienna Corporation, which is an American venture for turnkey contract manufacturing solutions and a global provider of electronic manufacturing services, having their manufacturing facilities in the US, in Atlanta, Georgia, Fremont in California, and Chicago, and many other places. He's also the chairman of Sienna ECAD Technologies Private Limited, Bangalore, one of India's largest design automation centers, focusing on PCB design engineering services. So thank you for starting this session. And thank you for handing it over to me. I now call upon our Secretary General of the Indo-Japan Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Ms. Suguna Ramamurthy. Just a brief introduction about her. She's also got a very impressive profile as far as India-Japan trade and relationships and culture is concerned. She's been with our chamber for 27 years now, and she's been building the language school. We have one of the oldest Japanese language schools here in the country. She's received innumerable delegations from Japan, both from government and the private sectors. And she's handled and coordinated many delegations from India to Japan as well. We were in fact recently deliberating of bringing one more delegation to Japan shortly, which we'll be happy to coordinate and announce soon. She's also been interacting with Japanese economic bodies, city and prefectural governments and business houses in Japan, besides interacting with a host of other organizations in India as well. She's the recipient of the Commendation Award from the Consul General of Japan in Chennai for significant contribution in strengthening India-Japan relations in education and culture and economic activities. She's a commerce graduate with postgraduate degree in public administration. Ma'am, I now call upon you to provide the opening remarks.
Thank you, Suman, for the nice introduction. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Thank you. Good day, konnichiwa, and for the Japanese, konbawa. I have great pleasure in greeting all of you today to the seminar. At the outset, I would like to thank our partner organization, UNIDO ITPO Tokyo, for being the co-host. My grateful thanks to the panel of experts at our seminar, Honorable Mr. Nikhilesh Giri, our Indian Consul General for Osaka and Kobe, Honorable Mr. Taga Masayuki, our Japanese Consul General in Chennai, Madam Fumio Adachi, Head UNIDO ITPO Tokyo, Mr. Imbi Chamar, President IJCCI, Mr. Arnav Kalia, from Invest India, Mr. Suman and Mr. Suresh from PSS Legal, for all their cooperation, goodwill, and support to the seminar. India-Japan relations in recent years is at the peak. While concerted India-Japan economic relations is significant to both the economies, stronger and sustained economic development of India assumes greater significance in contributing to the regional security. To alleviate violent escalation in the maritime domain, India should integrate into the economic milieu of supply chains of East and Southeast Asia. Strengthening of goodwill between New Delhi and Tokyo has to be translated into economic integration effectively. While the two governments pursue greater dialogue towards achieving the desired result, it is highly important for service organizations like us to get together in bridging the gap between the Indian and the Japanese business community. I would like to convey to the Japanese business community that India is fast changing. It is not what it was a decade ago. Some of the key factors that would establish India as the best partner for Japan include giant leap in digitalization in the Indian economy, India's population, the most valuable potential asset for Japan, falling dependency ratios, rising incomes, deeper financial sector development, increased savings, and healthy balance sheets of corporates and banks. With a real GDP of $3.74 trillion, India will become the third largest economy in the next 5 to 6 years. Above all, the people of India and Japan are guided by common cultural traditions, a strong commitment to the ideals of democracy, tolerance, pluralism, and our open societies. So it is utmost important that India-Japan economic relations be made stronger and deeper. It's important that service organizations working for Japan-India economic relations come together and work together dedicatedly. As most of you would know, our Indo-Japan Chamber of Commerce and Industry has been into this task for nearly 3 decades. We have received innumerable business delegations from Japan, government missions, private missions, and several business groups, constantly sharing economic updates and providing information about Indian industry. Our IJCCI business delegations, as Suman said, visited several prefectures extensively, networked with the Japanese business community from Tokyo to Saga. IJCCI has recently established Japan-India Business Facilitation Desk to bring together the business community of Japan and India to provide a platform and network with each other. IJCCI Business Facilitation Desk offers sharing of information on economic and policy matters, sharing information on specific sectors of industry, showcasing potential sectors for cooperation, highlighting select prefectures of Japan ready to cooperate with Indian states, identifying suitable business and technology partners, and offering hand-holding services, etc. On behalf of IJCCI and on my own behalf, I assure full support in realizing your objective. All these services are offered by a panel of experts drawn from Indian industry of repute. I therefore appeal to the Japanese businessmen to make use of IJCCI services. Please feel free to write to us about your requirements. I hope joint programs of this kind open up new avenues of cooperation between our two business communities. I sincerely hope that this meeting would set the beginning for many fruitful interactions to happen between India and Japan business community. I look forward to a successful seminar. Thank you.
Thank you for a very brief opening remarks, ma'am. It was very interesting to hear you on that. I now would like to introduce Mr. Nikhilesh Giri, Honorable Consul General for Osaka, Kobe in Japan. Very warm welcome to you, sir. Thank you for joining us in this program. Mr. Nikhilesh Giri was born on the 1st of June 1978 in Odisha, and he obtained his master's degree in geology from Utkal University, Bhubaneswar. He was briefly a student at the Center for the Study of Regional Development in Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, before joining the Indian Foreign Service in 2002. His first posting was in Egypt from 2004 to 2006, where he learned Arabic at the American University in Cairo. That's very interesting to know, sir. Between 2006 and 2009, he was posted as Second Secretary, Political, Economic and Information in the Embassy of India, Muscat. He then returned to New Delhi for a 2-year stint as Under Secretary, Deputy Secretary, dealing with India's relations with Russia. During 2011 to 2015, he served in the Embassy of India and later in the Indian Mission to ASEAN in Jakarta as First Secretary and Councillor. From 2015 to 2018, he was India's Deputy High Commissioner to Malaysia. Upon return to New Delhi in early 2018, he worked as a director in the Indo-Pacific Division. He thereafter assumed charge as the Joint Secretary of the West Asia and North Africa Division in December of that year, and continued in the position till his appointment as Consul General of India in Osaka, Kobe. He has attended training programs on leadership and management at the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, George Washington University, Washington, D.C., and Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy, Tufts University, Medford in MA. He's married to Jayanti Giri and they have a son and a daughter. I hand over the session to you, sir, for your keynote address.
Thank you for the very generous and kind introduction. Good afternoon, konnichiwa, namaskar. President of the Indo-Japan Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. T.P. Imobi Chamad. Honorable Consul General of Japan in Chennai, Mr. Taga Masayuki. Head of UNIDO, ITPO Tokyo, Ms. Fumio Adachi. Other distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. I thank the Indo-Japan Chamber of Commerce and Industry for the kind invitation to me to this webinar on India-Japan Business Cooperation and Facilitation. I see that later in the webinar, we are going to have a presentation on the Sri City, which has become a remarkable success story as a preferred host to a cohort of Japanese manufacturing companies in India. Besides, there will be presentations on Government of India's policy initiatives towards attracting and facilitating foreign direct investments in general and from Japan in particular by Invest India and PSS legal advisors. So we can expect very specific insights into the subject that the webinar seeks to address from these experts. Just give me a minute. I hear some background noise. I'll ask my colleagues to sort of be a little sort of less noisy. Sorry, it's a small office, and you know, my colleagues had another meeting in the next room, so you know there was this loud noise. Yeah, so what I was saying was that you know, we have these experts who are going to talk about sort of Government of India's policy initiative towards attracting and facilitating foreign direct investments in general, you know, and from Japan in particular. After my address, and so we can expect very specific insights into these subjects. And therefore, what I will do is I would like to share a few generic and personal thoughts with the distinguished audience. And in doing so, I'll be very brief and make a couple of points. First thing is that Japan is among the very few major countries in the world with which India has historically enjoyed a very positive relationship. And this was both manifested in and as a result of deep and expansive interactions at both official and people-to-people levels. Therefore, in the initial 2 decades after India's independence and Japan's emergence from the shadow of the Second World War, we had sought each other out to be close economic partners. India supplied natural resources that was critical for Japan's industrial growth. And in turn, Japan supplied technology, machinery, and funds that was required by India for its infrastructure and industrial development. However, as we know, it was soon followed by a long phase of almost 6 decades when both countries drifted apart from each other. And this was largely premised on 3 main factors. The first one is that India's growing proximity to the Soviet Union and its successor state, Russia, on the one hand, and Japan's alignment with the US and Europe on the other, seems to have created an impression, at least in Japan, that it could no longer do business with India at a bigger scale. The second point, perhaps, was that India preferred a command economy model as opposed to liberalization. And the third point is that Japan remained focused on building its economic relations with China, Korea, and Southeast Asia. India kept being pushed gradually to the periphery of its vision. But thankfully, the circumstances today, for the good of both India and Japan, have changed dramatically, at least in the last 3 decades. Today, we have a great congruence of our respective worldviews, and so much so that we have an elaborate sort of elaborate network of institutional mechanisms for very close consultations on a regular basis on various factors that various geopolitical factors and strategic issues that tend to have a bearing on the Indo-Pacific region in general and Indo-Pacific region in general. Similarly, on the economic front, India's emergence as a large affluent marketplace has meant that every country and every foreign corporation is trying to get an entry into India. And to their credit, the Government of India, as well as the state governments, have responded in an equally positive manner and have been swift in welcoming the inflow of business ideas, technologies, and investments. Add to this the fact that the Japanese investments into the traditional destination countries are nearing a saturation point. So the result is that we have today a very remarkable story of economic courtship between India and Japan. But I would say that we are still many springs away from seeing this relationship in its full bloom. And here I see a big role for business chambers, law firms, and the like, because it is organizations like yours that are best placed to address the biggest impediment in the way of faster growth of our economic partnership, which are basically two, I guess. One is the significant gap in information among the business communities about the opportunities in each other's countries. And two, trust building. Trust building among various stakeholders through more and more interactions, both in physical and virtual formats. And therefore, I compliment you for taking this initiative, and I hope that you will continue to organize many more events and activities like this in the future as well. And while you do that, you may wish to consider 3 points, and I'll end my address with them. That is, number one, I see an excessive focus in our deliberations whenever we have these kinds of discussions in the form of seminars, symposia, etc., on how India can attract Japanese investments and how we must facilitate it. And in doing so, we tend to ignore that there is equally a very large scope for promoting Indian investments into Japan, even in sectors that may seem odd in the first glance. Let me give you an example. Let's take the automobile sector. We are so used to hearing the story of Japanese automobile companies coming into India, like Suzuki, Toyota, Nissan, Honda, you name it, that we often tend to see that we have a small yet significant success story of an investment in this very sector flowing in the reverse direction. And here I'm talking about the Mitsubishi Mahindra joint venture. Mitsubishi has invested in a facility in Shimane Prefecture, and they make tractors and export them to Western markets. I had the opportunity to visit their factory, and it seems to be doing quite well. Let's look at another sector like hospitality. Now the tourism industry in Japan is booming, and that has placed a big demand for having more hotels. In recent times, we have seen news about several hotel groups from Southeast Asian countries to have taken note of this situation and invested in Japan in building hotels, especially in cities like Osaka and Kyoto. Dusit Thani Group of Thailand, Lotus Group of Singapore are good examples. However, we see a lack of similar interest from Indian hotel groups. Now, there are many Indian hotel groups, which have gone abroad and set up hotels. I have myself seen the Taj Group and the Oberoi Group, having built hotels in Indonesia, Malaysia, etc. But then we see a lack of similar interest from Indian hotel groups in exploring the opportunities in the Japanese market. So I think we need to amend this. So that was my first observation. The second is that our focus also seems somewhat lopsided, in the sense that we tend to target big corporations and big investments when we talk about attracting investments. So much so that in the process we tend to neglect the SMEs and the tremendous potential that exists in having more collaboration in this sector. And I think we need to remedy this. It has been heartening for me to see that smaller companies have, from Japan especially, have started visiting India in big numbers. There are many prefectural governments, at least in Western Japan, which come under the jurisdiction of the consulate, having taken business delegations to India. In the coming months, we're going to see similar business delegations going from the prefectures of Shimane, Tottori, Ehime. Osaka Chamber of Commerce and Industry, as we speak, has taken a delegation of SMEs to India. so I think now, at least from the Japanese side, the SMEs are trying to sort of seek out business opportunities in India and mounting business delegations at very regular intervals and with increased frequency. But I think we need to sort of reciprocate this from the Indian side as well. And therefore, whenever we have these investment roadshows or trade promotion roadshows, even when we sort of try to bring in the big corporations, we also should try to ensure that there is a fair representation of SMEs from India, which might have sort of some possibilities of seizing the investment opportunities that Japan has to offer. So that was my second observation. And the third thing that I would like to sort of see being addressed is something that has really disturbed me. Sort of in my last 2 years of staying in Japan, I sense that the love, warmth, and fascination that exists for India among the older generation of Japanese, that seems to be missing among the younger Japanese students. And I'll tell you a very personal story. A few months back, I had visited this university, the Otani University in Kyoto, along with the president of the Indian Council for Cultural Relations. And this is a Buddhist university. And therefore, somebody would, I mean, of course, apart from Buddhist studies, they have courses in other subjects as well. And then we just got into one classroom, and then we just asked everybody, like, if they had to choose one country that they would like to visit in the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years, which that country would be. And it was disappointing to see that that in a classroom of 60, maybe just 1 or 2 hands went up saying that India would be the country of choice to visit in the next 5 to 10 years. Now that was a bit disturbing for me. So what I'm trying to say is that I think even when we talk of promoting business relations between our 2 countries, there has to be a strong emphasis on building interest among the young generation about visiting each other's countries. And therefore, we need to see more exchanges among the youth, among students. And this is something all of us need to promote. And only when we build this sort of strong relations among the students, among the youth, that we are going to see the flourishing of a long-term interest among the people in our 2 societies, and that is definitely going to translate into more business. So I'll stop here. Once again, I thank you for the kind invitation, and I very much look forward to the remarks by the other speakers. Thank you.
So thank you for sharing such interesting things about global dynamics to practical aspects and factors, starting from trust building and also building strong relationships among the youth. We will do our part in taking care of that. And as far as information flow and visibility is concerned, you shared a very interesting point. We would also like Indian companies to start investing in Japan. We'll certainly come back and try and see how we can have a Japan-focused investment program between all of us. That would be very, very interesting. We look forward to that. And you were also mentioning that there are quite a few delegations that are traveling to India. We'll be very happy to welcome them to Chennai if Chennai is already part of the schedule. Our chamber, IJCCI, has not only built a lot of trust in the last 32 years. In fact, we're very proud to say that we're probably one of the very few chambers in the country who has been exclusively focusing on India-Japan trade and nothing else. So that's the exclusivity of our focus on India-Japan trade, business, and commerce and culture as well. A lot of cultural activities happening here. We're informing the Indian community on how beautiful the culture of Japan is and similarities in culture and many other things. So we look forward to welcoming delegations, because once they have the taste of Indian culture, then that also plays a part in them successfully joining hands with India. Thank you so much for that. I now call upon Honorable Mr. Taga Masayuki to give his special address. Before that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Masayuki Taga. He's the Consul General of Japan in Chennai. He's a graduate of Yokohama University, and he joined the Ministry of Corporate Affairs in Japan in 1983. And by 1997, he had served at the embassies of Japan in India, Nepal, and Ireland, besides having a stint in the Southwest Asia Division in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Tokyo. As a first secretary in the Embassy of Japan in New Delhi in 1997, Mr. Taga Masayuki became a deputy director heading the India section of the Southwest Asia Division, Asian and Oceania Affairs Bureau of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 2000. Between 2004 and 2010, Mr. Taga served in various capacities in South Asia, starting as the first secretary in the Embassy of Japan in Pakistan, as a counselor in the Embassy of Japan in Sri Lanka in 2007, and in 2010, where he was posted as a counselor of the Embassy of Japan in Bangladesh. In 2014, he became the senior regional coordinator of the Southwest Asia Division of MOFA in Tokyo. Honorable Mr. Masayuki Taga was appointed as Consul General of Japan in Kolkata in October 2016, and he moved to Chennai in March 2020 as Consul General of Japan in Chennai. And he's been very, very kind to our chamber. Any request in terms of activities of the chamber, very, very kind and supportive. Thank you for all the support that you've been providing to our chamber, sir. Very warm welcome to you once again, and please take over for your special address.
Thank you, Mr. Suman, for the kind introduction. Present in Vietnam and Honorable Consul General Giri and Ms. Adachi and distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. It is my really great pleasure to say a few words at this online seminar on Inter-Japan Business Cooperation and Facilitation. Actually, since Consul General Giri presented quite substantial talk on Inter-Japan relation, just I mention a little. Since I associated with India since 1983, since like Suman-san introduced, in these 40 years, actually Indo-Japan relation has been tremendously widened and deepened. And it is no exaggeration that today's Indo-Japan-India relation is the strongest ever in our history, especially since our relation was upgraded as a special strategic and global partner in 2014. Substantial and very, very substantial and cooperative relations are strengthening in various fields, political and policy dialogues, and defense and security cooperation, technology and science cooperation, and so on. And in our economic and business relations also, you may remember that our Prime Minister Kishida announced last year that we're going to invest 5 trillion Japanese yen in next 5 years. And here I'm in Chennai. I'm really very happy to witness the opening of new Japanese company's office and establishment of Japanese factory in the south, not only in Tamil Nadu, but also in Andhra Pradesh that Giri-san said about Sri City. And as Mr. Giri said, there are several Japanese business delegations coming to South Chennai and other places of chambers, as well as prefecture delegation. So in this situation, I'm very happy, and I think it's timely and valuable that IJCCI and UNIDO ITPO is organizing this online seminar. So I don't talk too much now, since you are expecting, waiting for the very substantial and practical presentations on this topic, investment opportunity India by Mr. Karia, and on foreign direct investment policy by Mr. Lamesh. I'm really sure that you will get very meaningful and useful inputs from these presentations. But only one point. Actually, I thought one point, but now 2 points I'd like to mention. One point is rather, this is to our Indian audience, that some of you may very much aware that Japanese investment to India is now today quite good or increasing a lot. But our bilateral trade volume still very limited, okay, less than 3%, 2. But the importance of Japanese investment or Japanese company working in India is not only just related to our bilateral trade volume or trade value, because those Japanese company or Japanese multinational company is contributing not only just for making India or employment opportunity of local people, but also widely contributing to Indian economy by procuring that material and parts from Indian domestic market, and supplying those parts or products to Indian market and selling their product and exporting those programs to not only to Japan, but to third countries. And actually, Japanese multinational companies export to the third country is much, sometimes much more than those export to Japan. So this point, I think, is one very important point. And for that, I really need much more Japanese company to come to India. And it is a benefit of not only the government of India, but to Indian business for in a global supply chain or global aspect as well. And second point, this is additional, just hearing from Consul General Giri, I fully agree the importance of people-to-people exchanges. We have to much expand these relations. Of course, now our economic and business relation is expanding, but our people-to-people contact relation is still very much limited. But as I told, that our government-to-government or various area like defense, security, or science and technology, but to further strengthen our relation, people-to-people exchanges, context is very important. And I noticed in South, many young boys or students in engineering colleges or universities, increasingly that number of those who wishes to study or are studying Japanese increasing. That's encouraging. But still not many students or many people are visiting Japan. So wherever I go, I'm asking to visit Japan. And at the same way, I like as many as Japanese people to visit India and visit to Chennai or South to understand more. So of course, since this is a business-oriented seminar, I need more Japanese businessmen or entrepreneur to visit India, visit Chennai to see the reality of what the environment. I believe that all of you will be very much impressed by today's situation in India or in Chennai or in Tamil Nadu or wherever in India. So since this year is also we declared as tourism promotion year, so I hope those who not yet visited India, please do visit. Thank you very much. And concluding my my address, just to again extend my thanks to IJCCI and UNIDO ITPO Tokyo for organizing this seminar and extending my best wishes for the grand success of the seminar. Thank you.
So thank you very much for your interesting special address and sharing such interesting things. We are looking forward to increasing bilateral trade, as you had mentioned, and of course, looking forward, as I mentioned already, looking forward to welcome Japanese and Japanese delegations as part of our chamber. We extend a very warm welcome to them. We'll be very happy to support them and coordinate on their requirements. And of course, after I completed introducing you, I'd like to also congratulate you on 30 years of association with India. It's a very, very long association with India. And once again, my special thanks to you for your kind support to the Indo-Japan Chamber of Commerce and Industry on all our requirements. Very, very kind of you, sir. Thank you so much. We now move on to our special address by Ms. Fumio Adachi. She's the head of UNIDO ITPO Tokyo. To introduce her, she's a professional with a distinguished academic and career trajectory. Ms. Adachi holds a master's in engineering from the School of Engineering at the University of Tokyo, and she got that in 1991. Following her graduation, she entered the Ministry of International Trade and Industry, formerly METI, which is now METI, in April 1991. In 1997, she pursued a master's in public administration from the esteemed Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University. Her academic journey culminated in a PhD in engineering from the University of Tokyo in 2023. Congratulations on that, on your recent PhD, ma'am. In June 2006, Adachi took on the role of Director for Natural Energy at the Japan International Cooperation Agency, which is JICA. She later joined the Low Carbon Business section within the Department of Business, Innovation and Skills of the United Kingdom government in August 2009. Her career also led to serve as the Senior Knowledge Management Officer at the International Atomic Energy Agency in Vienna in August 2011. In August 2015, she assumed the position of Deputy Director within the Division of University Corporate Relations at the University of Tokyo. Recognized for her capabilities, the University of Tokyo appointed Ms. Adachi as the Director of the Security Export Control Office in April 2021. Starting from April 2023, she has taken the helm of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization's Investment and Technology Promotion Office in Tokyo. Very warm welcome to you once again, ma'am. Look forward to hearing your special address. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. The mission of UNIDO, United Nations Industrial Development Organization, Tokyo office, is to promote investment and technology transfer from Japan to overseas countries. As today's co-organizer, I'd like to thank Mr. Jiri, Indian Consul General for Osaka, Kobe, Mr. Taga, Consul General of Japan, Mr. Karia, Investment India, and Mr. Ramesh, PSS Legal Advisors for their presentations. Now, regarding myself, my first encounter with India was 34 years ago. As Mr. Jiri suggested, I was a young student at that time, and I chose my first overseas destination and I chose India as my first overseas destination and went on a 2 weeks backpacking trip. I really liked India, and since then, I became a serious India watcher. Before working at UNIDO, I worked at the Japanese government, the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry for many years. A few years before India became known as BRICS, the position of Assistant Director for South Asia was created at the ministry, and I took that position. At that time, it was around the year 2000, and JETRO compiled the result of an annual survey of Japanese companies. According to their statistics, India ranked 4th to 5th in the list of countries in which Japanese companies would like to expand their business over the next 3 years. Yes, India was considered to be very attractive as a production base and the market. For today's seminar, I looked at the same statistics by JETRO, and in recent years, India has been around 10th place. Southeast Asian countries are rising to the top. So attracting investment is not only about improving the investment environment in absolute terms, but also about relative competition with other countries. I think the investment environment in India now has changed considerably from what it was in 2000. So today I'd like to obtain information about the latest investment environment. Additionally, as an agency of the United Nations, I'd like to consider whether we can collaborate with relatively small states or relatively small company SMEs of India that Japanese companies have not yet focused on. So I'd like to know about the states or administrative districts or SMEs that have an attractive investment environment, such as higher educational standards or well-developed infrastructure or advanced niche technologies that are not yet known very much to Japanese companies. Thank you for your attention. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for your special address, ma'am. You touched upon so many aspects and interesting statistics on investments to which really I didn't know. So thank you so much for sharing that. And as far as India is concerned, SME is there've been various things about India's SMEs. SMEs is the backbone of the Indian economy and many things. So we have a very large SMEs who will be interested in working with Japanese companies. We'll be very happy to coordinate that. Thank you so much once again. We now have a brief presentation about Sri City. I request my colleague Tarun to put up the presentation. Volume. Thank you, Tarun, for playing the video. I'm sorry, the audio was not playing. We tried we tried playing the audio, but it was not playing. But I hope all of you got to see the visuals. Sri City is one of the largest integrated industrial zones where we have a lot of Japanese companies there. And Sri City is very, very close to Chennai. It's about 90 minutes drive from Chennai. That's a brief about Sri City. We now move on to our first presentation, which is investment opportunities in India and support from Government of India. Mr. Arnav Kalia, who is the Assistant Vice President in Invest India from the Government of India, will be handling this session. To introduce Mr. Arnav Kalia, he has a professional career spanning over 10 years and started out as a risk audit consultant with KPMG, working on investment valuation, investment strategizing, and portfolio management. Since 2017, he has been working with Invest India. Arnav currently leads the Japan Plus desk, retail and e-commerce, as well as consumer affairs team at Invest India, which is the National Investment Promotion and Facilitation Agency of the Government of India. Very warm welcome to you, Arnav. Please take over.
Thank you very much, Suman. Thank you for having me here. Very warm welcome to all the esteemed panelists here. And thank you to everyone who's joined in to learn more about the India-Japan corridor. I'll just share my screen. Someone, if you could just help me out if my screen is visible.
We can view your screen, Arnav. Please go ahead.
Okay, I'm just trying to move slides here. Just one moment.
I don't know.
Great, perfect. Thank you very much. So over the next 10 minutes, I will try to cover a few key aspects of the Indian economy, primarily focusing starting with the current economy, where India sees itself in a few years, key business reforms introduced by the Government of India. I'll also touch upon key infrastructure reforms that have come up, and if time allows, a bit on technology and startups as well. So it's very important to understand that in the last 76 years, the GDP in India has seen 100x growth. When it comes to exports, there has been more than 600 times growth in the value of exports from India since the independence. Not just that, but India has exported a total value of about USD 776 billion in 22-23, which has nearly doubled compared to the export levels in 2013-14. When it comes to growth in GDP, India's GDP has experienced a 7.8% expansion during the initial quarter of fiscal year 23-24. India has also managed to maintain its position as the fastest expanding major economy, with China's GDP growth standing at 6.3% from the April to June quarter. India's GDP grew at the rate of 6.1% in the last quarter of the financial year 22-23, pushing the annual GDP growth rate to 7.2% against the earlier estimates of 7%. India today stands as the world's fifth largest economy, behind Germany, Japan, China, and the US. The path taken by India since 2014 reveals that India is likely to get the tag of the third largest economy in 2027, based on the actual GDP data from March 2023, a movement of 7 places upward since 2014, where India was ranked 10th. It's important to touch upon the population story of India, where India is home to more than 600 million people aged between 18 and 35, with 65% of the population currently being under the age of 35. India's demographic dividend is expected to persist at least until 2055-56 and will peak around the year 2041. Moving on to the India Amrit Kal Vision 2047. As things stand, India would become a developed country with a GDP of USD 32 billion, which would be a defining moment for India and the global community alike. India's real GDP is to grow at 7.6% over the next 25 years, raising its current per capita GDP of US $2,500 to US $22,000. It's important to understand that for India to become a developed economy, India's real GDP has to grow at 7.6% over the next 25 years. The industrial sectors in India should increase its share from the current 25.6% to 35% by 2047-48, with manufacturing occupying about 25% of the total value added. India has the largest youth population in the world. Around 66% of the total population is below the age of 35. Now, I would like to spend some time and discuss the business reforms introduced by the government of India that have contributed to the India growth story. Talking about the new corporate tax code. The new corporate tax code provides a concessional rate of 17% including cess for new manufacturing units that can start manufacturing by the end of the financial year 2024. At the same time, the old manufacturing units are only eligible for the regular corporate tax rate of 22% including cess. One of the key introductions of the government of India are the production-linked incentive schemes, popularly known as the PLI schemes, which aim to make India an Atmanirbhar economy. This is primarily introduced in 14 sectors with an outlay of about $26 billion to strengthen production capabilities and create global champions. The India Semicon mission is one that has attracted global eyes. The government of India had announced a $10 billion Semicon India program with an aim to develop semiconductor and display manufacturing ecosystem in India. It's important to understand introductions on remissions of duties and tax on exported products. The scheme was launched in 2020 and replaced the earlier merchandise export from India scheme. Under the new RODTEP scheme, exporters can claim a refund of the duties and taxes paid on imports used in production of exported goods. Another key incentive that was introduced during the time of pandemic was the setting up of the project development cells. These PDCs have been set up in 29 ministries which deal with industrial sectors. These sectors primarily include textiles, chemicals and fertilizers, electronics, pharmaceuticals, food processing, and petroleum and natural gas, to name a few. The India growth story has been backed by the ease of doing business growth story in India. India has jumped 79 ranks. India has jumped 79 positions in rank over 5 years and has featured in top 3 improvers list consecutively for 3 years. More than 39,000 compliances have been reduced and over 3,400 legal provisions have been decriminalized. For furthering trust-based governance, the government has introduced the Jan Vishwas Bill to amend 42 central acts. There have been 352 reforms across 72 action points for state governments to develop investor-friendly ecosystems introduced under the Business Reform Action Plan. The introduction of the National Single Window System has been well received by the Japanese audience. This digital portal aims to seamlessly approve any sort of applications of foreign investors at various levels. It's important to understand that 32 out of 32 central government ministries are onboarded on the platform. Over 2 lakh approvals have already been granted to MSMEs, FDI-related approvals, petroleum-related services, and startup recognitions. A key introduction to further improve multimodal connectivity, also known as the PM Gati Shakti Plan, is a GIS-based technology platform that aims to improve connectivity, logistical efficiency, and ensure seamless movement of goods and services. It will bring 16 ministries, including railways and roadways, together for integrated planning and coordinated implementation of infrastructure connectivity projects. The National Logistics Policy that was introduced last year aims to bring down the cost of logistic operations in the country from 14% of the current GDP to single digits by 2030. The policy seeks to digitally integrate the logistics ecosystem for seamless flow of data in the country. The Open Network for Digital Commerce, which is a first-of-a-kind open platform, extends the opportunity to e-commerce companies partnering up with solution partners. ONDC targets 200,000 transactions per day by the end of the year. It aims to reach 100,000 transactions from the mobility sector, which currently contributes about 60,000 transactions as we speak. Another key introduction by the government has been the PM Mega Integrated Textiles Region and Apparel Park, commonly known as the PM Mitra scheme, which has also received a lot of interest from Japanese companies. These 7 parks have been announced. The parks will be set up in the states of Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Gujarat, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, and Maharashtra. These parks aim to offer a fully integrated ecosystem to bring the entire supply chain of textiles into a single park. The National Hydrogen Mission aims at decarbonizing India and achieving net zero visions. Now talking about a few recent trends that we have witnessed. Indians are currently earning over $12,200 per year, which has quadrupled in 6 years. Corporate taxpayers have increased by 33% in 6 years, while personal taxpayers have increased by 57% in 6 years. This has also led to corporate tax collection increase by 66% in 7 years, and personal tax income collection reached by about 160% in 7 years. India has offered high growth prospects for MNCs, and this is evident with the premium valuations. Indian subsidiaries trade at much higher valuations due to stronger growth as well as stronger investment options. Premium valuations have spanned industries including hospitality, consumer goods, automobiles, and machinery. Strong financials attract investors due to India's growth trajectory and foreign investment reforms. A few examples of such growth are visible on your screen right now. The growth story in India cannot be talked about the growth story in India's infrastructure facilities. There has been a 3x growth in metro cities, and there has been a 3x growth in metro coverage in these cities. There has been a 1.6x increase in length of national highways. There has been a 2x increase in handling of port capacity and a 2x increase in number of airports in the country as well. Talking about industrial corridors, the government of India is developing 11 industrial corridor projects as part of the National Industrial Corridor Program across the country in a phased manner. A few of these corridors are visible on your screen as we speak. Talking about greenfield industrial cities. Industrial cities have been planned and designed to international standards, with 240 plots already allotted across 1571 acres. A few of the features of these greenfield industrial cities include plug-and-play infrastructure, effluent treatment plants, single window clearance, multimodal connectivity, 24-hour power supply, integrated city planning, and easy avail of environmental clearances as well. It's important to understand the growth that India has taken across technology, with 1.4 billion people already mapped to the UIDAI platform. As we stand, there are over 1.2 billion mobile phone users in India. The number is expected to reach 1.5 billion by the end of 2024. India is currently the world's second largest mobile phone user. India aims to become a $1 trillion digital economy by financial year 2025. India's digital consumer base is the second largest in the world and growing at the second fastest rate among major economies. India's inclusive digital model is narrowing the digital divide between the country and bringing benefits of technology to all segments of people. Half the potential economic value of 1 trillion in 2025 could come from new digital ecosystems in diverse sectors, including financial services, agriculture, healthcare, and logistics. India today stands as the world's third largest startup ecosystem, contributing 1 out of 10 unicorns created in the world. India also has the highest number of startups recognized per day, with on an average 80 startups being recognized in India every single day. Another key story of development in the startup ecosystem is the setting up of dedicated startup bridges between India and other countries. 18 such startup bridges exist today, including with countries like Australia, Austria, Bangladesh, Belgium, Brazil, and of course, Japan. To talk a little more on Invest India, Invest India serves as the National Investment Promotion and Facilitation Agency of the Government of India. The dedicated Japan Plus desk acts as your friend, as your mentor, to help you through your India investment journey. We'll be happy to take on any questions and we'll be happy to support your investment journey in the country. Thank you so much for the opportunity to participate here today. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Shadra, for making such an interesting presentation about India. In fact, even I learned about a few updated information through your slides. Thank you for very briefly putting that together. And we've managed to get the audio for Sri City right, and I understand that the audio is in Japanese. So for the benefit of our Japanese participants here, I'd like to play the 4-minute, 30-second video. Tarun, can you please put up the presentation?
スリシティへようこそ。インドで最も素晴らしいビジネスを展開しています。綿密な都市計画、クリーンエネルギー、スマートシステム、そして働く、生活する、学ぶ、遊ぶの統合モデルで、スリシティは活気のあるコミュニティに発展しています。チェンナイから55キロの国道沿い、アンドラ・プラデーシュ州とタミルナドゥ州の州境に位置するスリシティは、ゴールデンスクエア幹線道路ネットワークを介して、インドの主要都市にアクセスしています。スリシティは2つの国際空港と4つの港が全て半径 100km 以内でアクセスの良さを誇ります。スリシティの工業ゾーンはマルチ製品特別経済ゾーン、国内関税ゾーン、自由貿易、そして倉庫ゾーンに分かれます。スリシティはインド政府と日本政府によって開発されている13の日本の工業団地の一つです。スリシティは国内で2番目に大きな日本のクラスターとなっています。25社以上もの日本大手企業、いすゞ自動車、ダイキン、パナソニック、東レ、コベルコ、ユニチャーム、日発、日本製機、キクワ、愛産工業、パイオラックスなどがスリシティに支社を持っています。現在スリシティでは3万5000人以上が働いています。いすゞやフォックスコンなど多くの労働者を持つ大企業が大手用多国籍企業とともにスリシティの EMC 内で運営されています。日本インド製造業研究所 GIM は革新的なスキル開発プログラムです。スリシティ GIM は日本企業7社が集い、集中的な実地研修プログラムを通じて業界に対応した労働力を準備することを目的としたスキル開発センターを設立した最初のイニシアチブであるという特徴を持った機関です。州政府、中央政府の全面協力により21営業日以内に許認可を取るシングルデスクや多数運用給付がスリシティのすべてのユニットに対して可能です。毎日24時間電力供給、複数の貯水池、下水道、雨水システム、街路照明や交通管制システムに電力を供給する内部太陽光施設。スリシティは二酸化炭素を排出しない地域になろうとしています。スリシティでは長期でも短期でも滞在の選択肢が豊富です。新鮮で豪華な料理が提供されます。医療センターは救急医療にも日々の医療ニーズにも応えます。スリシティの500エーカーは全ての教育ニーズに応えるべく教育ゾーンになっています。スリシティのすぐ近くには日本人限定の宿泊施設もあります。スイミングプール、現代的なフィットネスセンター、屋上レストラン、スパなどの設備をご利用いただけます。スリシティとその周辺には150人以上の日本人駐在員が住んでいます。多様な業種にわたるさまざまな規模の企業が共に反映するスリシティの世界一流のビジネス環境をぜひご体験ください。可能性を秘めた世界がスリシティであなたをお待ちしています。ぜひインドの最も統合化されたビジネスシティへお越しください。そしてビジネスを新たな段階に成長させてください。
Thank you, Tarun, for playing the presentation. It was very interesting to have a presentation in Japanese. I just want to assure all our eminent speakers and our participants that we are on schedule. We will complete before the time specified for the end of the program. Now we move on to a very interesting presentation on foreign direct investment policy in India by Mr. K. Ramesh, who's a corporate lawyer at PSS Legal Advisors LLP in India. Mr. Ramesh is a practicing corporate lawyer with 37 plus years of rich experience. Apart from his degrees in law and science, he is a qualified chartered accountant, company secretary, and a fellow of the Insurance Institute of India. This unique combination of professional qualifications coupled with practical expertise and passion in his holistic, integrated, and practical approach from legal, tax, and accounting angles. He has a super specialization in foreign exchange law, including inbound and outbound investments, foreign collaborations, joint ventures, and other aspects. He also specializes in cases before the Enforcement Directorate relating to Foreign Exchange Management Act and has handled several complicated and sensitive cases. He also advises on all foreign exchange matters relating to the Reserve Bank of India. His expertise extends to the structuring of various aspects and contracts involving mergers and acquisitions, corporate transactions, and advisory on all aspects of corporate law. He also handles arbitrations. He was an advisor to the NRI Services portal of the Hindu Business Line newspaper group in India, and he has contributed to over 170 articles in the Hindu Business Line newspapers and articles in various professional journals as well. He's a distinguished speaker and has addressed several regional and national conferences on various professional institutions. He's a guest faculty in many institutions such as the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, Bharatadasan Institute of Management, University of Madras, Smart Business School and Colleges, Ernst Young Training Academy, Pricewaterhouse Training Academy, and the Society of Auditors. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Kindly take over the program.
Namaste, good morning to all of you, my friends. Suman, thanks for the kind words of introduction. Now, FDI, Foreign Direct Investment. I will take you in about 10 minutes to a few slides. Foreign direct investment in India presently is made extremely simple, progressively getting liberalized, very transparent, stable and predictable, and very easy to comprehend. Now, I will detail a few of the things at a very broad level, give you a bird's eye view of what foreign direct investment is. A non-resident investor who is not a resident here, a foreign investor, investing in capital of Indian firms. It can take the form of equity shares or fully, compulsorily or mandatorily convertible preference shares, debentures, which are basically loans or warrants. Basically, now they have divided the foreign direct investment into two parts. Investment in unlisted company directly into the company, or listed Indian company up to 10% or more of the equity capital on a fully diluted basis is foreign direct investment. If the investment is less than 10%, it is called foreign portfolio investment or indirect investment. Now, our presentation is more to concentrate on foreign direct investment. Now, in the next slide, I will take you who are the eligible investors. Eligible investors, we are using a technical term here, non-resident entity. That is an entity which is not a resident in India, but for the purpose of easy presentation to our Japanese friends, I will take it as a foreign entity. Can invest in India subject to FDI policy, except in a few prohibited sectors such as lotteries, chits, gambling, and real estate. So I would like to detail you something here. When I say prohibited sector, when the policy started 32 years before in 1991, at that time there was a long list of industries where whether foreign investment is permitted or prohibited, subject to a lot of conditionality, percentage of foreign equity, and so on and so forth. From that, we have completely moved on to a different situation, a very dynamic situation. Every foreign investment is permitted, particularly manufacturing and service sector, 100% permitted without any conditions. Barring a few sectors which are not in the normal business, such as lotteries, chits, gambling, etc. Now, the next one, land bordering countries. This is important for land bordering countries. Post-pandemic, they have said you need government of India. Now, with Japan not being a land bordering country, we don't have that option. Now, what are all the entry options for a foreign direct investment company in India? The investment in India can be on two patterns: incorporated business structure or unincorporated business structure. Now, how does people, investor, they choose? Incorporated structure is normally chosen when the technology is proven, when Indian market is assured, such as a limited liability partnership, or a general firm is a corporate firm, company, or a joint venture company. The unincorporated structure, which are called place of business in India, they are not incorporated. Suppose some investor wants to test India for a couple of years, whether the project is going well or has got the prospects, or they want to do some research and development activity. They choose any of the three, license office or branch office or project office. The company form can be in turn unlisted company or listed company. It can be in a startup company also. As some other gentleman has explained, how government of India is having a very favorable climate, how more foreign startups or unicorns are coming up in India. Now, one thing I would like to tell you about the entry option. All the entry options are made absolutely free for both incorporation, investment, remittance, reporting, and repatriation. Repatriation means taking money out of India, which I will detail you in the next few slides. In the next slide, we will go into what are the entry routes of investment. There are two routes basically of investment. First is called automatic route. Next two is called prior government approval. What exactly is meant by that? Automatic route means you don't need any approval. You simply bring in the money. The Indian company can issue shares, go through certain filings, reporting. When they say reporting, it's only information. It's not any blessing from government of India. That is called automatic route. Government approved route is where automatic route is not available, where you have to escalate your application to government for prior approval. Now, I can tell you one thing, as I told you earlier, 30 years before when we started, many things required government of India approval. Today, we removed all those negativities. Only lotteries, gambling, and select industries which are not normally considered industry, they are put under prohibited list. All other sectors are placed under automatic route, which means what? 100% of your foreign direct investment can be permitted without any approval in major sector, manufacturing, services, including contract sectors. There are some sectors where you have capped on foreign investment, which are called strategic sector. That we will go through that in our next slide. Caps on foreign investment. What are the caps? FDI in manufacturing is permitted 100%. FDI in most services are permitted up to 100% without any condition with automatic route, which means you don't need any government of India approval. As I told you, I'm repeating. Certain sectors which are strategic, which are volatile, like private sector banking, 74% foreign equity cap. Insurance sector, because it is highly regulated by Insurance Development Authority of India, multi-brand retail, print media, defense equipment, they have these caps. Other than that, they are only select industries. Other than that, all other most investments will come under manufacturing or a wholesale trading or a service sector or IT sector. They are all permitted 100% without any cap. And it is all under automatic. That is, you don't need any government of India. Then we will go into the next slide. What are the entry conditions? Entry conditions on certain investments. Foreign direct investment is permitted in certain sectors activity with entry conditions such as norms of minimum capitalization, lock-in period, plus other conditions, the local law compliance, etc. Now, I again would like to repeat, this is not in general entry conditions applicable across the sector. It is reserved only for few sectors, as I told you, retail trading, e-commerce activity, insurance sector, private sector banking, etc. As I told you earlier, I repeat at the cost of repetition, all manufacturing, no entry conditions, no lock-in period, no government of India approval, no elaborate procedure for remittance and repatriation. It is all made very simple. Without government of India approval, you can do it through your banking system with simple procedures. Lawyers and company secretaries can take care of that. It has been made as simple as that. The next condition, we will see the final aspect. Having made an investment, what are the remittance and reporting requirements? The reporting under FDI, one of the biggest advantage in the last 10 years is, which was earlier physical with a human intervention. Now, no human intervention is required. Every kind of remittance reporting is made completely digital. You can log in on a Saturday or a Sunday or a holiday or a working day. any company secretary or an executive, it is very easy, customer friendly, you can report it. There are basically two kinds of reporting required for foreign investment, that's all. The first reporting, when the money comes within 30 days, you have to report with a simple form, digitally. Within 30 days of issue of shares, it can be reported in a particular form called Form FCGPR, Foreign Currency Gross Provisional Return. These are the two reporting. There are basic detail and there is no approval required. You can bring in the money straight away, allot shares. Up to that, no approval. Simply report to the banking system, and that too by a digital platform. That is about remittance and reporting. Next, suppose you have made an equity investment, either in equity or compulsorily preference shares or debenture. How to transfer the shares and take the money out? That comes under the title transfer of shares and repatriation. When I say repatriation, in simple layman's language, I'll explain. Just as you bring the money into India and invest, you sell the shares and take the money back post taxes. So that, or you transfer the share to somebody else. That is also made. No Government of India approval is required. Everything is placed under automatic route by filing form Foreign Collaboration Transfer of Shares, or shortly Form FCTRS. A valuation must be certified by a chartered accountant. Only in few limited cases, when the valuation is not complete with, or you don't make the payment in one shot, you make it in deferred payment, you require Reserve Bank of India approval. Otherwise, transfer of shares require no approval. Similarly, repatriation, taking money out of India, dividend, interest, sale proceeds of shares are made easy. Dividend you can get out of shares, it's a current. Interest you get out of debenture investment. Shares you may sell it, it's a capital account transaction. Now I can tell you one thing before I deal with it. All current account transactions are made extremely free to be done with the banker. That is, India has got current account convertibility in foreign exchange. India is said to have capital account convertibility, but even in capital investment and repatriation, it is made progressively simpler. So repatriation of dividend, interest, sale proceeds of shares, you can go to the bank to give the proof of payment of tax. Automatically, it can be remitted within the same day with simple procedure. No Government of India approval is required. So that is about the investment, the broad potential, and then automatic route, the Government of India approval route, transfer of shares, reporting, remittance, and repatriation. To conclude, I will say the same thing what I started with. The policies have been progressively made simpler and simpler by the end of the day. And from what it started 30 years before, today policy is completely restricting the area where prohibited investment to few select industry like gambling, lotteries, etc. All manufacturing and IT service sector are made automatic route, which means you don't need any Government of India prior approval. The Government of India prior approval for transfer of shares or investment are kept minimum few select industry. That too for strategic importance, where there is a equity cap, like private sector banking, insurance, e-commerce, etc. Beyond that, no government approval is required. Everything is delegated to bank, number one, and everything is made without human intervention to digital approval of compliance, which is easy for compliance. Even a procedural lapse or a minor violation, if any, can be easily rectified through an automatic compounding procedure through RBI. You don't have to go to any agency set up. That way, it is made very liberalized, very investor friendly, transparent, very predictable and stable, and going to be even more liberalized, apart from the tax regimes and other ecosystem and common pool of talent. Under the legal and the regulatory system, it is extremely transparent, progressively being made more and more liberal in the coming years. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. The floor is open for any clarification or question, and I would like to answer you as long as you want. Thank you and namaste.
Thank you, sir, for keeping your presentation short and brief in view of paucity of time. We now move on to the Q&A session. We have about 6 minutes for questions and answers, and we'll be happy to take as many questions as possible. And before we move on to that, I'd like to make an announcement that the presentations of the speakers today will be emailed to all the participants for their convenience. And UNIDO also has been kind enough to say that they will post these presentations on their website in the next couple of days. That was the interesting announcement that I wanted to make. The floor is open for questions, please. Kindly address your question to the respective speaker for them to enable them to take it up. We have a question from Mr. Vimal Raj. Apart from automotive sector, what are other sectors Japanese companies are interested in India? It's a question to Honorary Consul General. Sir, would you be happy to take out these questions? Arnab, would you like to answer this question in the meanwhile till Mr. Tagan answers?
Sure, happy to. So I'll just answer this question in two parts. First, covering what has been the traditional inflow of FDI. So when we look at, say, foreign direct investment coming from Japan into India over the last 23 years or so, you're right. Automobile has been the one that's dominated. Other sectors that have received investment in the past include services. A lot of investment in banking, insurance, outsourcing, R&D. Drugs and pharmaceuticals, metallurgical industries, and telecommunications. These are the other three sectors that would make the top 5, top 6 of investment received till now. Now, when we look at new areas of interest, yes, automobiles continues to dominate, but we are seeing a lot of interest in interesting sectors, including drones, a lot of interest in specialty chemicals, a lot of interest in textiles as well, from both a trade and an investment perspective. These are the key areas of interest that we have witnessed over the last few years. Hope that answers the question. Yeah. Thank you.
Actually, I cannot answer on behalf of my Indian friends that what kind of that Indian business or that India's company or SMAT wishes to have Japanese. Actually, almost every sector. But the thing is that rather our side, Japanese company side or Japanese SME, what kind of so actually JETRO office here is trying to match or try to coordinate with those who the company has interest. Actually, from Indian side, almost all the sector, they would like to have the kind of cooperation, collaboration with Japanese company. I cannot specify this, yeah, because everyone asked me to find the Japanese counterpart. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, sir. We go on to the next question from Mr. Hariharan. Shall we get a new income tax benefit for a new plant investment when we already have another unit in the same state? This is when new capital from Japan comes in. This is a question to invest in India. Arnav?
Sure. I mean, I believe this question is more complicated than it seems. I'd like to take this on offline if this can be taken on, because there'll be a lot more. I'd want to understand a bit more on the sector of investment. The date by which production starts. So, Mr. Hariharan, happy to connect with you after the webinar if that will be okay with you.
Sure. We will connect Mr. Hariharan to you directly. Not a problem at all. And Mr. Ramesh, would you like to take this question on the income tax benefits? If there is anything that you'd like to add? Your mic is muted, sir.
Is it clear now? Is it audible?
Yes.
Yes, please. We can hear you. Yes, please.
For a new company, there is a reduced rate of tax of, I don't know, 15%. I'm not a tax expert, but it is for a newly established manufacturing company, there is a reduced rate of tax. So as I told you, I leave it my our friend Invest India to answer it. It depends on certain conditionalities and details. And it will be more accurate if our friend Invest India and Mr. Hariharan connects to him after the program, he will be able to accurately mention that. But for new company, I can say there is a reduced rate of tax as compared to existing.
Thank you for sharing that, sir. The next question is from Mr. Sethu Armugam. What are opportunities for Japanese companies to invest in food processing and herbals agriculture in India? Arnav, can I request you to take this question again?
Sure. I mean, when we look at the food processing sector overall, while of course traditional investments have been coming in, for a very long time, when you look at the likes of major Japanese companies like Nissan, I believe they set up one of their largest facilities in the state of Odisha. When we're talking about investment opportunities in food processing sector, in the emerging and new sectors that are coming in, there are a lot of opportunities in the aqua marine culture sector. There's a lot of stress on development of cold storage infrastructure as well. That's an allied sector of food processing that the government is also focusing on. Again, I do not recognize myself as a food processing expert, and I'd be happy to connect you to my team. We have a dedicated food processing team that works with the Ministry of Food Processing. So happy to take this on offline as well. Yeah.
Thank you for answering that question, Arnav. The next question is from Mr. Vikash Chandra. Can you help us in identifying potential partners in Japan for our sector specific, both for technology transfer and imports from Japan and exports from India? I'll leave this open to any of the panelists if you have something to share on this. I don't know if you have something to add as well. You're handling Japan in a very big way from the Japan Plus desk. So if you have something to share on this, please feel free.
Unfortunately, this would not be up our alley. Identifying potential partners is not something we look at. This might be something that maybe the Consul General could take up.
Suman sir.
In the meanwhile, the Indo-Japan Chamber of Commerce has...
Is that question for me? Sorry, Nicholas here.
Yes, sir. If you have something to add to this, please do.
Sorry, yeah, can you repeat the question again?
There's a question from Mr. Vikash Chandra on how can you help us in identifying potential partners in Japan for our sector-specific sector, both for technology transfer and imports from Japan and exports from India?
See, what I would request is that if you could, if he could send an email to us, specifying the sectors in which they have interest and be very specific, like what kind of partners they're looking at, then maybe we'll just look at that and sort of get back to them.
Sure, that's a very interesting opening, sir. Thank you so much. If I can request your email ID to be shared in the chat box for Mr. Vikash Chandra to take note,
yeah,
that would be helpful.
That's on the website, cg.osaka.
It's on the website.
.gov.in. Yeah.
Sure, sir. And in the meanwhile, the Indo-Japan Chamber of Commerce also, when Suguna-san had addressed on the India Business Cooperation Facilitation that the Chamber is handling, I'd like her to share a minute or two on this.
Yeah, sure, Suman. Thank you so much. This is precisely what we at Indo-Japan Chamber of Commerce and Industry do. First of all, we need to know what is your strength and how long you've been in this sector of industry and how good are you in India. And of course, if you're doing business with any foreign countries, you may share such information so that we will be able to, once we know what your requirement is and how you do, your company does, with the track record, of course, we will be able to connect you to people who might be interested in your product or services.
Thank you so much for sharing, ma'am. We just have two more questions.
Yeah, okay.
The next question, sorry, somebody had something to say?
Yeah, sorry. For this
Yes,
question,
please.
the previous question, UNIDO Tokyo office organize B2B every year, 2 or 3 or 5 B2B events from each country, and it is better to specify which sector. So if you specify which sector from India, then we might be able to organize a B2B event in Tokyo or online.
Thank you for sharing that, ma'am. And I request Mr. Vikash and everybody else to also closely follow UNIDO's activities. They do a lot of programs, and that will give you some scope and chances of identifying potential partners. We just have two more questions which won't take long. Mr. Abhineet wants to know if the sectors in which Japanese companies are more keen to invest in India. Mr. Abhineet, Mr. Arnam's slides are very elaborate in this aspect. In fact, the slides and all the presentations, like I mentioned earlier, will be emailed to all of the participants. Please do take a look at that. The last question is from Mr. Vaidyanathan from ARR. And he says, India being an ever-growing market for healthcare products, especially health supplements, I would like to know whether any Japanese brand interested to tie up with an Indian partner. I visited a brand name Orihirio before, but some reason couldn't materialize. Mr. Vaidyanath, the question for Mr. Vikash also is in terms of connecting potential partners. It's the same reply to this, unless any other speaker has anything further to add to Mr. Vaidyanath's question. I believe it's the same question to Mr. Vikash in terms of finding out potential partners. And from our UNIDO and from our chamber as well, we'll be happy to help you out in this. That's the last question in the chat box, and so I'd like to conclude this session by thanking all the eminent speakers for making such an interesting presentation and speech today. Once again, just thanks to all of you. This comes to the end of the program. Thank you once again. We look forward to having many more interesting sessions on this in future. Thanks to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Suman. Thank you. Suguna-san, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you for that.
How are you?
Thanks to all of you.
I'm good, Suguna-san. Thank you so much for your cooperation.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing you in Tokyo again.
Yeah, sure, soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Prakash.
Thanks to all speakers. Thank you
Thanks to
very
all of
much.
you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council General, Mr. Taga Masayuki. Thank you, Mr. Nikhilesh Giri, Mr. Ramesh,
Thank you.
Mr. Karia, and Rachi-san.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much. It was a wonderful session. I'm sure we'll have many more such opportunities to not only explain to them about policies and sectors, also about business to business between India and Japan, like the one we did 2 years ago during COVID time. UNIDO and IJCCI joined together and made B2B with about 20 Indian businessmen. I look forward to your continued support and cooperation from UNIDO for taking it forward. There are a lot more people, SMEs, interested in doing business with Japan, and I'm sure together we can make it happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.